The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for this day.
This is the Michael K. Show podcast.
I gotta get more K.
Listen live weekdays at 1 on 880 ESPN, the ESPN New York app, and your smart speaker.
And a good afternoon, everybody. This is indeed the Michael K. Show. We thank you for joining us on this Thursday. It's January 23rd, 2025, another chilly day in the New York area. Hope you're all doing well. Michael and you, that's the deal. You know the number, 1-800-919-3776. We're creeping closer to what should be really a splendid Sunday in the championship games, AFC and NFC. We've got the Commanders and the Eagles at 3 p.m. That'll be a game on Fox, and the Bills and the Chiefs at 6:30. That'll be a game on CBS. And there's one thing that I'm puzzled about, and I'm wondering if maybe all of you could help me out, just lead me in the right direction. A lot of people I talk to, a lot of fans, and a lot of people in our business as well, including my good friend Chris Russo, they're sick of Patrick Mahomes. And for some strange reason, they're sick of Taylor Swift, who is shown on TV maybe for a total of 30 seconds. I mean, a total over the course of a game. Now, why Taylor Swift's image or presence at a game makes you uneasy or sick to your stomach, I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's not like she dominates the broadcast. It's not like she's seeking out the attention. The people that broadcast the games, they show her when she's walking into the facility, and they'll occasionally take a shot of her when Travis Kelce does something big. So what? I mean, it's almost like it flashes before the screen. It doesn't even register with me. So when you're bothered by Taylor Swift, I wonder what's wrong with you. You might not like Taylor Swift. You might not like her music. You might not like her politics, whatever the case may be. But that ruins the whole experience for you? Oh, I'm going to have to see if they make the Super Bowl again, we're going to have to deal with Taylor Swift. You have to deal with Taylor Swift? In what world are you dealing with her? But that's just a side note. That's always made me wonder, maybe it's a you problem more than a Taylor Swift problem. And this has nothing to do with what Taylor Swift is about musically, about her Eras tour, about the fact that she dates Travis Kelce. None of it. Why would that ruin the experience? I'm sick of seeing Taylor Swift on the TV. That's a you deal. You've got issues. Now let's go to the Patrick Mahomes thing. I'm sick of seeing Patrick Mahomes every year. Then you don't like greatness. Were you sick of seeing Michael Jordan every year? Did that really bother you, Michael Jordan, every year? Were you sick of it? Why would something like that make you sick? I think greatness in any sport is a thing that should be embraced. Now, if you want to root against him, okay, because you want to see somebody toppled from the mountain. Get it? Understand it? That's part of fandom. I certainly do. But what makes you dislike him so much? Why are you sick of him? I don't recall, maybe toward the end, that people were sick of Tom Brady and the Patriots. I don't recall people being sick of Michael Jordan. Now, I recall people saying, wouldn't it be nice to beat them, and how glorious it was for the Giants to knock them off twice? And Knicks fans, you hated Michael Jordan. I get it. But it wasn't like you were sick of watching him play. You were rooting so hard for your team to knock him off, to finally knock him off. Dynasties are good for a sport. They really are. Some of the highest ratings in baseball history when the Yankees were dominating, because you wanted to see them beaten. But I've never heard the phrase, I'm sick of seeing them. I want to beat them. That makes more sense. That makes more sense to me. And Patrick Mahomes, for the most part, is not a guy I think that should rankle you. I don't like the flopping. I don't. But does it make me sick of watching him? And it's funny because my own son, who's 10 years old, I don't want to see Patrick Mahomes. I want to see him beat. Okay, this is from a very innocent 10-year-old. He doesn't want to watch Patrick Mahomes anymore. But adults, I'm sick of seeing him. I'm sick of seeing Taylor Swift. Tell me why. Tell me why you're sick of them. You're sick of seeing one of the greatest quarterbacks that we'll ever see in our life? You're sick of it. You're sick of watching greatness. You're sick of it. Again, I think that's a you problem. It's a you problem. I always say it. I've said it on the old show for 22 years. I embrace greatness. I want to study it. I want to soak it in. I want to watch it as much as I can, because once Patrick Mahomes hits that wall of age, which Tom Brady never hit, you're going to miss that you don't see him anymore. Don't you miss that Michael Jordan doesn't play anymore? I do. I loved watching him play. And I'm a Knick fan. I wanted to watch him play. I wanted the Knicks to beat him, but I was never sick of watching him. You're not a real fan. You're not a real fan of the sport. Now, going into this weekend, if you're a Bills fan, I understand you hate Patrick Mahomes. You want the Bills to beat Patrick Mahomes so you can finally get over that hump. Because they've stopped you a number of times. That I get. But when you're agnostic, when you root for other teams that aren't even playing the aren't playing the Chiefs, that makes no sense to me. I don't get it. Makes no sense whatsoever. Please explain it to me. I don't know. It's just something that has always bothered me. And maybe the thing that really made me think about it the most was Mad Dog on First Take railing about he's sick of Taylor Swift and sick of Patrick Mahomes. Really? And it's not just Mad Dog. It's people come up to me when I'm out. I don't want to see it anymore. Okay, you don't want to see greatness anymore. You're probably sick of how smart Albert Einstein was. I'm sick of Albert Einstein. I'm sick of Frank Sinatra. He's too good. I'm sick of Bruce Springsteen. I'm not saying you have to like them, but sick of them indicates to me that you just don't even want them on the world stage anymore. You don't want them to exhibit their greatness. I think it's scintillating to watch somebody operating at the top of his craft, in any craft. Like, I think it should be scintillating for all of you listening right now on 880 to listen to this show, to see somebody at the top of it, or listen to somebody at the top of his craft a radio show for you. But some people might be sick of me. That I understand more than being sick of Patrick Mahomes. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. Yesterday while we were on the air, Aaron Glenn was officially named the Jets head coach. So there's all these testimonials coming in over the last day. And the one that really sticks out to me, Bill Parcells loves him. Thinks he's going to be great. Thinks he's a great leader of men, a disciplinarian, doesn't take any nonsense. That resonates with me. Parcells does not hand out flowers easily. He coached Aaron Glenn twice with the Jets and with the Dallas Cowboys. Really, really likes him a lot. A Jet draft pick in the first round, 12th player in 94, 3-time Pro Bowler. And then he took the long way up. He didn't take any shortcuts. In 2012, he joined the Jets as a scout. A scout! Driving from place to place to look at players. Then a low-level coach with the Cleveland Browns, position coach with New Orleans, worked his way up to defensive coordinator with the Lions. And the one thing that he always wanted to be the Jet coach. So not only do you have a guy that knows the New York market, a 15-year veteran of the NFL, has helped build a program with Dan Campbell in Detroit. But the guy wants this gig. And when we all started after they fired Saleh and obviously Ulbrich was not going to be the guy, we kept wondering, well, I wonder if anybody wants this job. He wants the job. Like when Ben Johnson got interviewed by the Bears, the first thing he said to them, I want this job. This is the job I want. And the New Orleans Saints wanted Aaron Glenn, so it wasn't like this is the only job that was available. Rich Cimini seems like he has a great relationship with Aaron Glenn, and for years, Aaron Glenn has told him, this is the job that I want. And he got it. So the Jets have a guy that wants to be there. He didn't just grab it because it's one of 32. He wants to be there. I know a lot of people are a little bit sketchy on the Jets hiring another first-time head coach. The more I think about it, the more I like this hiring. This guy seems like he has a little something. He's got some stomach. He's got some guts. He's got some guile. I don't think he's going to be scared by the moment or the stage. I think the Jets did a good job. You're always looking for that next great thing. This is a guy who's paid his dues, who knows the market, who knows the enormity of New York, and he wanted it, and he got it, and he's 52 years old, and he showed that he could work around adversity, too, with a defense that was ravaged by injuries in Detroit. He kept them at the top. It finally fell apart against the Commanders. I think the house of cards finally tumbled with all of the injuries. But look at what he did this year without Hutchinson. Look what he did with all the great players that fell by the wayside because of injury. That shows me this guy doesn't get scared, doesn't go into a fetal position when things go wrong. The more I think about it, the more I like it. Now, I wonder, Cowboy fans out there, you digging that Brian Schottenheimer's getting the job as the head coach? Brian Schottenheimer? You really have to wonder what Jerry's thinking. Now, Schottenheimer's been there before, and he's probably just thrilled to get a head coaching job. But is that the guy to lead the Cowboys forward? I don't know. Maybe Jerry sees something that all of us don't see. Ray Santiago, one of the producers of DiPietro and Rothenberg, and produces the Knicks and the Ranger games, a big Cowboy fan. I'll have to text him and see what he thinks about this. Brian Schottenheimer. All of these unbelievable coaches that are out there. I just heard Chris Carlin on with on the Bart and Carlin show. They could have Robert Saleh, who's one of the finalists for the Jaguar job. And they decide to go with Brian Schottenheimer. Bold choice, Cotton. Let's see how it works. 1-800-919-3776. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Brian in Montclair. Brian?
Hey, Mike. How are you?
Brian.
Listen, on the Patrick Mahomes thing, here's where I'm coming from. I think I get a little bit of where people are coming from saying you're sick of him. I agree with your stance. If you're a fan of sports, you got to appreciate what this guy and what this team is doing. I mean, we are witnessing greatness. Now, as a lifelong Jets fan, I would love nothing more than this guy to surpass Tom Brady to be considered the GOAT, because I can tell you that's someone I was tired of. But let's leave that there. What I do think people are tired of is the terrible calls that go against the teams that are playing the Chiefs. You saw two of them last week, and I'm sure we'll see some tomorrow. I hope we don't on Sunday. But you constantly see that, and you constantly see it be a factor in these games. So it's starting to feel like the league is on their side and against everybody else, and they're jamming this team down everybody's throat. And I think that's what everybody's getting tired of.
Okay, so, I mean, I definitely hear that, Brian, and I think you make a compelling case. And the amount of calls that seem like they go their way is a little bit irksome. But great teams and great players get calls. In the history of sports, they do. You didn't see Tony Gwynn get strike called against him, even if it was a strike, or Wade Boggs. Very rarely did that happen. Michael Jordan had a lot of calls go his way. LeBron has a lot of calls go his way. Kobe had a lot of calls go his way. That's the benefit of being consistently great. The people that are going to officiate the game are going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But the one thing, Brian, that I don't agree with, that I don't understand why people say it, that the NFL is shoving the Chiefs down our throat. And we thank you for the phone call. I'm not able to. There we go. I never understand, why would the NFL shove the Chiefs down our throat? The NFL could put any team in the Super Bowl. So let's look at the 4 teams that are playing. Commanders and the Eagles and the Bills and the Chiefs. So let's take the least sexy matchup out of those 2 games for the Super Bowl. Let's say the least sexy would be the Bills against the Commanders. Do you think the people at Fox who are doing the Super Bowl are going to cry and they're not going to get any ratings? The NFL doesn't have to shove anybody down anybody's throat. They are ratings proof. Anybody who plays in the Super Bowl is going to draw over 100 million viewers. More than that around the world. They are matchup proof. They don't need the Chiefs there. They don't need Taylor Swift there in order to get eyeballs to watch the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is a national holiday. People that don't know the laces on a football watch the Super Bowl. They just do. And I just think that the Chiefs get the calls because they're great. And they've been consistently great. So they get the benefit of the doubt. But please don't go down the road that they're getting the calls because the NFL wants them at the Super Bowl. I don't believe it. Does the NFL have anything to do with the Chiefs the winning those games where, the opposing team's kicking a walk-off field goal and it clinks off the upright? Did the NFL have anything to do with that? Did they suddenly, squeeze together the uprights when we weren't looking? The Chiefs are great. That's why they get the calls. And it does stink, especially when you watch it all in slow motion. Go, well, that shouldn't have been a call. That wasn't a late hit on Mahomes. That bothers me too. So I'm not fighting you on that. But I am fighting everybody on the fact that the NFL is somehow maneuvering so that matchup happens. And I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Let's go to Ernie in Butler. Ernie?
How you doing, Michael?
Hey, Ernie.
I wanted to talk about your point. First, I agreed with Brian on a couple of points. I'd like you to let me please make a couple of points before you cut me off.
Of course.
First of all, on the I love the show solo.
Thank you, man.
Much
Thank
better. You. And I want to say about the Chiefs and Mahomes. Mahomes, going back to years ago with his brother Jackson and his wife, and he's been shoved down our throats. And also, right now, all you see with him, they don't. Do you think they wanted the Houston Texans in the Super Bowl?
I don't
Those
think they
calls
care.
the officials made. I disagree with you on that because is a three-peat more sexy, as you guys say? A three-peat? They would go wild with that, a three-peat. No team's ever done it before.
But Ernie, you sound like a good sports fan. You would watch the Super Bowl and whoever played. Most
Absolutely.
sports fans would.
I'm a huge football fan,
Of
huge
course.
Yankee fan. And on the other end, Michael, about hating Taylor Swift. I don't hate Taylor Swift. I think she's an attractive woman. But she is shown over. There's no other wives that are as good looking as her. I mean, she's not even engaged to him. But every time now, that family is so overblown. You can't turn on TV without seeing the Kelces. Jason Kelce has more commercials. I got to turn on the TV and see Jason Kelce in a robe in front of a fireplace, sexually eating chunky soup.
Yeah.
I mean. Is it why all the guys that have paid their dues in this industry, and you're one of them, this guy retires from football. He's on every TV show. He's got more games, more post games. Everything's given to him. I'm sick of the family. We need something else.
Well, let's put it this way. I hear it in your voice, Ernie, and I understand what you're saying. But ESPN feels that Jason Kelce moves the needle, that he's got something that jumps out at you on camera. And he wasn't just handed all of this. He won a Super Bowl. He's probably a Hall of Famer at his position while he played with the Eagles. So that does get you a door open into broadcasting, and he's taken it and run with it. His podcast with his brother is very, very popular. But the people that make these decisions, like ESPN and the people at Campbell's that want him to be on their show, his wife even has a podcast. And again, it's the networks that show Taylor Swift. But sick of her. The Kelces I get. I mean, they are constantly in your face. I understand it. It doesn't bother me, though, but I can see why it would bother others. But the Taylor Swift stuff that I don't get, I just don't understand it, is this. She's not on camera all that much. They don't show her all that much. I mean, you're just almost like you're pushing the narrative that she's constantly in your face. She's not in your face. I mean, I wish that somebody would watch a game that the Chiefs play where Taylor is there, right, and show me that she's on camera for more than 40 seconds total. They show her jumping up and down in the booth. So what? That bothers you for what? Now, getting calls. Patrick Mahomes was asked if they are getting favorable calls. Here's what the Chief quarterback said.
I don't feel that way. I mean, I just try to play football at the end of the day. The referees are doing their best to call the game as fair and as proper as they possibly can, and all you can do is go out there and play the game that you love as hard as you can and live with the results. And so for me, it's to go out there, play hard, try to do whatever I can to win the football game, and then live with the results based off my effort and the way that we played the game. And so I think that's what we preach here in Kansas City.
Well, I understand Mahomes giving that answer because even if he felt that they were getting preferential treatment, he'd be an idiot to tell you, yeah, I think we're getting preferential treatment. So he's giving you the politically correct answer. If there's one thing that annoys me about Patrick, not his greatness, not the fact that they might repeat, none of that. It's the flopping. And, you know, one of my favorite basketball players ever is LeBron James, and his flopping bothers me too. Because when you're that great, you really shouldn't have to flop. You shouldn't. It's the gritty, gutty guys that, you know, are hanging on in the league, either the NFL or the NBA. They've got to flop. They've got to get the most. Grayson Allen has to flop. Patrick Mahomes doesn't. LeBron James doesn't. But that's all part of their act. Let's go to Tommy in Connecticut. Tommy.
Hey, got you, buddy.
What's up, man?
Hey, just wanted to piggyback on what you were saying about like appreciating greatness. So I'm a huge hockey fan, huge Ranger fan. Do you think that in any given night I don't want to watch Sidney Crosby or Alex Ovechkin just do amazing things on the ice?
Of course, and it's probably not against your team, Tommy, but you probably want to watch them, right? Because of what they
absolutely. And I want Alex Ovechkin to break Gretzky's record. Wayne Gretzky wants him to break the record.
And I think the great one, I mean, would probably understand that better than most. I get it.
Yeah, so I'm totally with you. I mean, I'm a huge Yankee fan. Do you think I didn't almost come to tears when Cal Ripken Jr. broke Lou Gehrig's consecutive game record? I mean, you have to appreciate what's out there and the things that these guys can do.
I'm glad that you're giving some rationality to all this, and we thank you for the phone call. Listen, if you're a sports fan, don't you want to see the best at what they do? I mean, you don't want to see bad teams play. Those aren't fun. They're not fun. It's not fun. It's never been fun. You want to see the top level of the sport. So I just hope at some point we eliminate the nonsense of, I'm sick of Patrick Mahomes. Oh, okay. Let's go to Gabrielle in Queens, or Gabriel. Gabriel? Yeah, what's up?
What's up? Let me explain something to you. Give me a minute. Don't cut me off. I'm not tired of seeing Taylor Swift or Patrick Mahomes or Jason Kelce in there because, like I'm kind of like you. Like, I want to see who's going to beat them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's one thing I want to get across. Another thing I want to across. People don't understand, like, the NFL is a business. So by them putting Taylor Swift on TV, and it's going to get the young girls to go turn to the NFL just so that they could see Taylor, and that would make them watch football a little bit. Oh, that is generating revenue for the NFL. That's the thing people don't see. This is what's happening right now. Like, this could be anybody. Like, let's say it could have been another quarterback that's doing what Patrick Mahomes is doing. Like, it's always been like that in sport. When Michael Jordan was doing this thing or whatever, even if we didn't have the internet like that, if they would have had the internet like back then, we would have been seeing the same thing. You understand what I'm saying? That's just how it is in life and sport. You know what I mean? You got something great going, you're going to take advantage of it.
I love it. I couldn't agree with you more. I thank you for the phone call. Listen, the NFL does want ratings. They want to completely burnish their product. But I don't think the NFL is forcing Fox or CBS or Amazon or whoever's doing the game, ESPN, to show Taylor Swift. A smart director is going to show Taylor Swift. She's one of the most famous people on planet Earth. She's at the game. She's at the game in a different way than her performing. So, of course, you want a shot of her celebrating when her boyfriend does something great in the game. I don't have a problem with that at all. And it's so minuscule compared to the way people are making it out to be, as if there's like a box in the corner of the screen that constantly shows you Taylor Swift. I have no problem with that. I think it would be a dereliction of duty by the director of the football game to not show us Taylor Swift. But they don't show it enough that it would make me sick of seeing her. It just wouldn't. I always wonder when something like this doesn't quite make rational sense, that there's got to be some underlying thing of why you're sick of seeing Taylor Swift. It can't be because she's Travis Kelce's girlfriend. It can't be her music. I mean, some people love her music. Most people do. Some people don't. Got to be something else. If you are that so against seeing her, maybe it's because what you know, maybe her perceived politics, and you don't align with that, and that's cool too. But that's why you might not want to see her. Not because of any other thing, because she's overexposed or anything like that. I think it's deeper. I really believe it's deeper than we're letting on. Just saying. Because I'm not sick of seeing her. The 30 seconds they're going to show her on Sunday, it's not going to freak me out. Now, if they show her and they miss a play, then I'm ticked off. Then I don't want to see her. But we're not missing any game action when they give a quick cut to the luxury suite and Taylor's jumping up and down. I think it's a you issue if you don't like her that much, or if you're sick of her. And it's a you issue if you are sick of seeing Patrick Mahomes. The previous caller said it best, by the way. I want to see him beaten. I desperately want to see him beaten if you don't like the Chiefs. That's not me. I actually like the Chiefs. But to say you're sick of him indicates something else. Like, why? Why you now? His brother rubs me the wrong way. Jackson Mahomes, I'm sick of seeing him. Because you know why we see Patrick Mahomes so much? Because Patrick Mahomes is one of the greatest of all time. But Jackson Mahomes' brother, he's an annoyance. What is he great at other than being a spectacle? That bothers me. I'm sick of that. But I can't be sick of watching Patrick Mahomes. I can't. All right, so there's a live press conference going on right now with the Eagles where Sirianni's talking about the injuries or whatever. So we're due to have Sal Paolantonio at 1:30. It might be a little bit later because he's at the press conference. He will get to us as soon as the presser with Sirianni ends, okay? And until then, we'll continue to take phone calls. And one other thing I want to point out. Please follow me. I've had a couple of callers, before they begin their the thing, they go, don't cut me off. This is a different world, okay? You are my co-host. I'm not going to be rude. Now, if you're rude, then I might be rude back. This is completely different than the show when there were three people with me and Peter and Don. We had to move it along because everybody had to have their say. It's me and you having a conversation. Don't worry about being cut off. Don't worry about being cut off. Would I cut off a co-host other than maybe Peter? Don't worry about being cut off. When you work hard, you save hard. So treat yourself with well-earned savings all month long at Bay Ridge Mazda. Get financing rates as low as 0.9% APR on nearly every new car in stock. 0.9% APR. Their goal is complete credit approval regardless of your score. Plus, enjoy Bay Ridge Plus benefits like ding and dent coverage, key replacement, windshield protection, and roadside assistance. Visit them today in Brooklyn or online at BayRidgeMazda.com. See dealer for details.
Harry Douglas here for Technique's new noise-canceling True Wireless AZ80 earbuds. Techniques has been revolutionizing the audio game for almost 60 years. With multi-point connection of up to 3 devices at the same time, the AZ80s let you go from leading a meeting to listening to a podcast to taking a call seamlessly. Visit us.techniques.com/sports to shop for AZ80s now. That's us.technics.com/sports.
So it's a new year, 2025, and you're thinking, how am I going to make this year different? How am I going to build something for myself? The best time to start your new business is right now, and Shopify is how you're going to make it happen. Shopify makes it simple to create your brand, open for business, and get your first sale. Get your store up and running easily with thousands of customizable templates. No coding or design skills required. All you need to do is drag and drop. Their powerful social media tools let you connect all your channels and create shoppable posts and help you sell everywhere people scroll. Shopify makes it easy to manage your growing business. They help with the details like shipping, taxes, and payments from one single dashboard, allowing you to focus on the important stuff, like growing your business. What happens if you don't act now? Will you regret it? What if someone beats you to the idea? Don't kick yourself when you hear this again in a year because you didn't do anything now. With Shopify, your first sale is closer than you think. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/network, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/network to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/network.
There's one thing that will forever change the way you sleep, and it's the softest 100% organic cotton sheets from Boll & Branch. You'll fall asleep faster, wrapped in the most luxurious comfort. You'll never sleep hot again with sheets that feel breathable to sleep in. You'll experience the purest softness on night one and feel your sheets get even softer with every wash. Discover the difference with 15% off your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com with code SPORTS15. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
He's been here a long time, and he's going to be here even longer.
Catch the show on demand whenever you want. Just subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts.
Ah, yes, it's Super Box Bonanza 6. That's right, baby. Each qualifier will take home an ESPN prize pack and have a chance at one of 10 Super Box prizes. Be caller number 3 for the three-peat that the Chiefs are trying. Caller number 3 right now at 888-987-ESPN to select a box for the big game with a chance to win $250 in the first and third quarters, $500 at halftime, and a final score payout of $1,000. All brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey and Sloman's Security. We'll talk to Sal Paolantonio at some point during the hour as he is in Philly covering the Eagles as they prepare for the Commanders coming in on Sunday for the chance to go to the Super Bowl. 1-800-919-3776. We're talking about people sick of Mahomes, people sick of Taylor Swift, and we've had some interesting takes so far. Let's go to Jordan in East Islip. What's up, Jordan?
Hey, Michael. Thanks for having me.
You got it, man.
So I understand to a degree some of what people are saying. I think there is the fatigue with just seeing the Kelce brothers everywhere. I think that Mahomes' brother is a certified bad guy. And I think the Taylor thing actually dives into a part that we don't really want to get into. But
right. I think it's some political leanings.
Yes, exactly. We know which way a lot of NFL fans stand. But for me personally, I loved watching the Chiefs when Mahomes first broke out. But the difference in play style, I think, is where they lose me now. And I understand you win any way you can. But I always think of that when Mahomes first broke out, that primetime game against Goff and McVay, where the final score was like 54-48, and they had Tyreek, and Mahomes was just slinging it all over the field. And they were just a fun team to watch. And now it's like every game of theirs is just flog, and again,
because they don't have the same amount of talent, Jordan, right? I mean, they don't have
I I 100% agree with you. It's just, you win games any way you can in the NFL, and that's a testament to how impressive what they're doing is, too. And I think it shows what an incredible coach Andy Reid is, even more so. But, they used to be just plain fun to watch, and now I just don't really think they are. I think that's really the problem.
You made a very compelling point, but let me ask you straight out what I keep hearing from people, and the thing that really started me off on that. Are you sick of watching him play, though?
No, I'm not.
Because you sound like a big sports fan. So how could you be sick of watching a great player play?
No, listen, every time they go on the field and they end up finding a way to win the game, I'm still impressed. It's just winning in the NFL is so hard, and the fact that they've done it. And that's the other thing that I think is impressive about Mahomes, because this is what Brady did. It takes a lot of talent and smarts to be able to win in multiple ways. We saw the Brady era where, his defense helped him win. Then he was just throwing the ball 100 yards a game or 300 yards a game to Moss. Then he was dinking and dunking with Edelman and Gronk. Now Mahomes is doing the same thing. He can do it any which way, and I think that's, what's so impressive about him. I can't say I'm necessarily rooting for him to win this game this weekend.
And that's cool. I understand that. I understand that.
Yeah.
But it just
but I still think
when people say I'm sick of watching him. That doesn't make sense.
No, I agree with what you say, because I'm a LeBron guy, and I think it's the same thing. People love to hate, but to be able to do what they've done is, if you really appreciate sport, it's awesome.
Jordan, I got to tell you something. Not good. Great phone call. You're welcome to call in anytime.
Michael, thanks, man. I'll be back.
You got it, man. Be good. Be good. That's good stuff. Good stuff. He, you know what? Had his points. He made them in a compelling way, and I understand exactly what he's saying. Let's go to Joe in Long Beach. Joe.
Hey, Mike. What's going on? Love the show.
Thanks, Joe. What's up?
Hey, Mike, you know how everybody's hating on these super teams? I want to bring it to baseball and the Dodgers. I want to get your take, because the Dodgers recently have been acquiring not just like the great players that everybody was talking about before the season started. They're also talking about, just filling out their roster so lovely. I love what they're doing. I think they're going to become the new hated team in baseball, like the Yankees used to be. And I'd love to know what you think about how they built their team for 2025.
Well, I mean, it's hard to criticize them where, they damn the cost. They're trying to build the greatest team that they could possibly build, and that's what they're doing. So if you're a Giants fan, San Francisco, a Diamondbacks fan, a Padres fan, Mets, Phillies, you probably hate it and you're jealous, but I don't think that you could criticize the way they're doing it. They certainly seem to be doing it within the rules. They've circumvented some things legally by deferring a lot of the money. So yeah, it's all good. Now you also bring up a good point. People will be, that'll be the team that people want to knock off the mountain, like the Yankees were in the mid '90s. I get it, but I don't think that anybody who wanted the Yankees to lose in 96, 98, 99, 2000, even 2001, that they were sick of watching them play. I think they might have been sick of them winning all the time. That's a different story. But if you're a baseball fan, how could you not like watching that team play? And Derek Jeter and Paul O'Neill. I'm not going to name everybody. You know that team. How could you be sick of them? You could be sick of them winning and you're rooting against them winning. That I get. That I totally understand. And I think that that's going to be the Dodgers. The Dodgers are going to be the big, bad team that everybody wants to knock off their perch. That's fun. That's what sports are about. That's why I like greatness. Because greatness, you could either root for the greatness and be fulfilled, or you could be frustrated and root against the greatness and hope that your team can knock them off. That's the brilliance of sports right there. You want to be the one that beats the one. But in terms of are you sick of watching Aaron Judge play? No. Are you sick of watching Ohtani play? I'm not sick of it. I hope he plays for another 10 years at this level. Why? Because I appreciate greatness. And you should too if you're a sports fan. That's all there is to it. Could you ever be sick of Greg Maddux pitching? You could probably be sick of the fact that he keeps beating you in a frustrating way where you think I could even hit that. That's cool. But sick of watching him play? Sick of watching Patrick Mahomes play? Nah, it doesn't resonate with me. Hey, there's nothing like the NFL playoffs. It's one big game after another. And you know what? Big games deserve bigger payouts. That's why FanDuel is giving all customers a same-game parlay profit boost every game day during the NFL playoffs. Doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. You'll score a bigger payout if your SGP hits. So don't just watch from the sidelines. Visit FanDuel.com/K to get in on the action. That's FanDuel.com/K to get a same-game parlay profit boost every game day during the NFL playoffs. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and physically present in New York. Opt-in required. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager account. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/ESPNpod and use code ESPNpod for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/ESPNpod and use code ESPNpod at checkout.
Grainger knows space at your facility is limited. As a maintenance specialist, you only have so many spots for backup products in your inventory roster, which means space on your bench comes at a premium. Well, when it comes to breadth and depth, Grainger's got you covered. They've got over 1 million industrial-grade products. Plus, fast delivery helps reduce the inventory you need to keep on hand, freeing up space and capital while giving your operation a winning edge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by a local branch.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
He's been here a long time, and he's going to be here even longer.
Catch the show on demand whenever you want. Just subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, game time. Brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, because when it's game time, it's Tully time. 7 p.m. puck drop. Flyers at the Rangers. Coverage begins at 6:30 right here on 880 ESPN. 10 p.m. tip-off. Celtics at the Lakers. Coverage right here on 880 ESPN following the Rangers and the Flyers. Tullamore Dew, the original triple distilled, triple blended, triple cask matured Irish whiskey. Be sure to grab a Tullamore Dew. Try the new Tullamore Dew Honey during today's action. Glasses up to enjoying Tullamore Dew responsibly. 1-800-919-3776. Talking about a myriad of things. The Hall of Fame had its press conference today where Ichiro was there and CeCe was there and Billy Wagner was there. And I love, Derek Jeter did not make a big deal out of the one person that didn't vote for him, because that's Derek Jeter's way. But Ichiro did, and not in a nasty way, but he said, I'd like to see the one person who didn't vote for me. He said, I'd like to sit down and chat with him. That's a great approach to it. But because the person who didn't vote for Jeter and the person that didn't vote for Ichiro happen to be gutless pukes, maybe it's the same person, they will not make themselves public. You should be proud of your vote. This isn't a political vote. This is not a political vote. This is a privilege that you've been given to vote for who gets into the Hall of Fame. And because of that privilege, your vote should be made public. And then you should have to defend that vote. That's all I'm saying. Just defend your vote. Explain it. Maybe you could convince me why you thought you shouldn't vote for Derek Jeter or you shouldn't vote for Ichiro. What was the one thing about their game that you said, nah, not me. I'm not voting for them? And the fact that the Baseball Writers Association of America continues to allow the cloak of anonymity, to hide behind being anonymous, to be gutless, it's beyond me. The baseball writers are better than that. The baseball writers I know are better than that. Joel Sherman makes his vote public and defends it. John Heyman, same thing. Everybody that I know that has a vote. Jack Curry on the Yes Network. He goes on the hot stove and explains why he voted for who he voted for and why he didn't vote for others. So if you want to be a big, bad, tough person and not vote for Ichiro Suzuki, explain why. You don't have to vote You don't have to explain to anybody why you voted for Donald Trump or why you voted for Joe Biden or why you voted for Kamala Harris. You don't have to explain that. That's a private thing. This is not a private thing. It's a privilege that you've been given. They could take your vote away. They can't take your vote away in America if you vote for a candidate that some people didn't like. They could take your vote away if you say, well, you know what, brain lock, I didn't even see his name there. Well, then you're a fool, and you shouldn't have the vote. We'll get into that a little bit more later. Let's go to Mitch in Chicago. Mitch.
Hey, Michael. Thanks for taking the call.
You got it. What's up, man?
Yeah, just wanted to kind of follow up on the Jets hiring coaching decision. We haven't really heard much from Rex Ryan, at least I haven't. Has he made a public statement or anything like that? Just because he was through in all of his ships to kind of getting this Jets position. And do you think he'll land a DC job or a head coaching job in the future?
I don't think. I'm curious to see what he has to say, because I would think that you have to be embarrassed, to be so publicly thirsty and to be so certain that you were going to get the job. And it didn't even seem like you were considered. It didn't even seem you were considered. You were not called back for a second interview. It was Aaron Glenn. It was either going to be Mike Vrabel or Aaron Glenn all the way. And I don't think he's ever going to get another head coaching job, ever. He's been away too long. Could he get a defensive coordinator's job? Sure he could. If he pursues that, I think he's going to stay at ESPN. He has a great gig here, and he can opine on everything. He still has high visibility and probably makes pretty decent money. I don't want to get in his wallet, but I don't think he'll ever get a head coaching job, because during this cycle, was he even contacted by anybody? Did the Raiders reach out? No. Did the Cowboys? The Cowboys are hiring Brian Schottenheimer. And Robert Saleh, a guy who, Rex gave a lot of grief to until they finally patched things up. Robert Saleh got interviewed by the Cowboys. Robert Saleh is one of the finalists for the Jaguar job. Rex Ryan had one interview, and that was at the Jets. And he'll probably say, well, that's all I wanted. I don't think anybody else reached out. And I think he got that interview out of the loyalty that Woody has for him and his connection to Mike Tannenbaum, who was kind of running the interview process with the 33rd team. I'm fascinated to see what Rex has to say, and we'll find out on Sunday on NFL Countdown before the games. He's got to address it, because all he did was stand on a soapbox and say how he was the perfect guy for the job and he was going to kick Mike Vrabel's butt, 2 times a year for the coming years. I think he's got to feel somewhat chagrined, right? Wouldn't you be a little embarrassed how publicly you went for the job? Even it was still held by Jeff Ulbrich. I know he's the interim, but he still had the job. So I'm fascinated to see what he has to say, and we'll find out. We'll find out Sunday, I guess. Let's go to Mark in Syosset. Mark.
Good afternoon, Michael.
Hi, Mark.
Just one comment I want to make. I've never agreed with you more. Since you started your own show, I have to tell you. I wanted to comment on Mahomes and Taylor Swift. Okay. Mahomes is an all-world talent. If you can't enjoy watching him and you're sick of him, then you're not a football fan, because he brings something special to the game. What bothers me about it is the calls, and it bothered me with Michael Jordan when I was as a Knicks fan. He gets all the calls.
It bothers me too, Mark. It bothers me too.
And he's a superstar.
Yep.
And I appreciate it. As far as Taylor Swift is concerned, there's nothing cutting to her for 10 seconds, 5 times, 4 times a game. All that does is increase the viewership of the Swifties, of the fans the NFL would never otherwise get if Taylor Swift weren't in the booth. Nothing wrong with it. It's totally acceptable. If you don't like it, turn away from your TV set and wait for the game to come back on. It makes no sense to me why somebody would, hate on her simply because they cut to a shot of her in the booth. It really doesn't.
You know what gets me, Mark, too? Because you're watching the games like I am intently. She's on the screen for, 5 seconds? And it's infuriating people. First of all, she's a beautiful woman. Don't you want to see a beautiful woman every now and then? If you're a male watching, even if you're a female watching the game, what's the big deal? She's not on for 5-6 minutes at a time.
There's no downside to it. There's none. And you are right. It's the person. There's something with them, not with with Taylor Swift or anything about that. There's no reason for it.
Has to be. And you know what else it could be too? I think a lot of people, not on the Taylor Swift side, with the Mahomes side, they don't like his face. I mean, some people, they don't like your face. I think that's a big deal. People don't like my forehead. People don't like his face. People might not like his brother. But how could you not like watching him play? I mean, that touchdown pass to Travis Kelce last week, I don't know if there's another quarterback that we've ever seen that could do that. He has such unbelievable control of his body and unerring accuracy with his arm. He's amazing. Amazing to watch him play. So if they keep advancing in the playoffs, you know what I think? I get to see him play in another big game. I think that's cool. I think that's a no-lose situation. If you hate him and want to see him lose, you get an opportunity to see him knocked off in the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship. That would give you joy. But to say you're sick of watching him play, I don't know. I don't know. Let's go to Ray in Brooklyn. He's sick of watching Mahomes. What's up, Ray?
Hey, good afternoon, Mike. Listen, no, I really am. I'm not saying that I hate him individually, but I do hate the amount of calls that he gets. It's to me, it's completely unfair. And let me give you a couple of scenarios. Last season, they were in danger of not making the playoffs going into their final two games. I watched those two games. They got calls down the stretch that helped them make the playoffs. So, I just think that even though he's a great player, his legacy is being helped and elevated by some of these calls. He probably doesn't make the playoffs last year. He doesn't beat Cincinnati 3 years ago in the AFC title game. Everybody and their mother knows Cincinnati got hosed. That's like 2 Super Bowls that he might not have. I get that he has them, and we can't go back in time. However, it is sickening. And, Mike, I'm sure your producers can look this up, right? There's a stat out there where in the last couple of years, he has 20 interceptions called back due to penalty, and nobody even has double figures. You can't tell me that's a coincidence, and you know that a flag could be thrown on any play in the NFL, yet they choose to throw them exponentially and infinitely more when this guy's on the field. The Jets got hosed last year in the game, and I'm a Giants fan, so it's hard for me to even say that. And then the year before that, when the Giants were up 17-14 late in the game in the fourth quarter in Kansas City, we got hosed. It's just, look, like I said, I don't care about Taylor Swift. That is what it is. But the fact of the matter is that you do have to beat them in the refs. Just like Houston said, I'm glad players and coaches actually had the balls, excuse my language, to say it, because maybe now it can deter some of this from happening. I want Josh Allen, who's a class act, to have his full opportunity without having to beat him and the refs to finally get over the hump. And guess what? Another reason why I don't like Patrick Mahomes is because the one time he felt he didn't get a call, he acted like a petulant, classless baby instead of congratulating Josh Allen on the victory. And by the way, it was the correct call against them. Instead of congratulating Allen, he classlessly is complaining at the end of the game on national TV that he didn't get the call, and everybody knows it was the wrong call. So there's a lot of reasons why not to like, this guy or the Chiefs continuing to win. I'm just sick of it, man. I don't know what else to say, but the evidence is out there. The proof is in the pudding, Mike.
I love your enthusiasm, and if you want to beat them, you can't make the game close in the fourth quarter. The one thing that I'll fight back about, there's no way the NFL is pulling strings to have him get better calls. I think the officials do it, just even if it's subconsciously, because he's the great Patrick Mahomes. You want to beat him? Be up by 2 touchdowns with 5 minutes left. Don't make it close. So even if they subconsciously are giving him calls, if it's not close, it's not going to have an effect. That's the Chiefs have done this all year. They're not a dominant team. They hang, and they have it in their DNA to get it done in big situations. They just know how to win. That was a good phone call, Ray. Hey, it's Superbox Bonanza 6 and your chance to get your box for the big game with a prize pool of $2,000. All qualifiers will get an ESPN prize pack and a chance at one of 10 Superbox prizes. Listen daily through February 6th to DiPietro and Rothenberg, Barton Carlin, The Michael K. Show, and Don Hahn and Rosenberg. This year's big game payouts are $250 in the first and third quarters, $500 at halftime, and a final score payout of $1,000. All brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey and Sloman Security. For full contest details, go to superboxbonanza.com. When we come back, Don LaGreca is going to hop on with us. He did something moments ago that very, very interesting. I'm sure he's going to talk about it a lot on his show, but we just want to get a little bit of a taste of what he just did around the streets of Manhattan. Intrigued? You should be. K and U right here on 880 ESPN.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
You know what? Check yourself.
Hear more from Michael K. weekdays at 1 on 880 ESPN.
Suck it up and like it.
The ESPN New York app and your smart speakers.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least that was the plan. Except now the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
This is the Michael K. Show podcast.
I gotta get more K.
Listen live weekdays at 1 on 880 ESPN, the ESPN New York app, and your smart speaker.
Oh, yeah. Hour 2 of our 2-hour radio program leading you into Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg. They're on from 3 to 6:30 today because of the Rangers with the pregame show, and Don will have that as well. But Don just had a very interesting early afternoon, I guess. I don't think it was before noon, where you all are familiar with the work of Frank the Tank of Barstool Sports, and I give him a lot of credit. He's doing these long walks to try to get in shape and lose weight, and he's been very successful so far. And to make it enjoyable for him and also to create content, they do a walk with Frank the Tank with famous people. And today, it was Don LaGreca. They were walking around, I guess, the Columbus Avenue area of Manhattan where our studios are. And Don will join us now just to give us a little kernel of what that was like. Don, what was that like? What is Frank the Tank like?
He's just, what's so interesting? You watch these videos and his rants, and it all started, Michael. The story with him was that rant about New Jersey Transit, and he was late to the Mets home opener years ago.
Right.
And Portnoy saw that, hired him. And so every time you see him, it's ranting about the Devils, the Dolphins, those are and the Mets. Those are his 3, big teams that he rants about. But then you talk to him, and he's just a down-to-earth guy, just a fan, kind of, a little soft-spoken. And you don't see that side. He's like a really nice guy, and it's a tremendous story. He's lost like 150 pounds doing these walks. He's walked almost 500 consecutive days. And he was at the Rock last night for the Jacques Lemaire ceremony. Big Dolphin fan, big Met fan. So we talked some Mets, we talked some hockey, talked some football, and it was just a nice conversation. It really was, with two ranters that are just having a normal, down-to-earth conversation. It was actually pretty cool.
Now, did people recognize you as you were walking around?
Yes, which was kind of cool. And
what did people say to you guys?
They just said, it's like, hey Don, hey Frank, like it was like that was pretty cool. Because listen, where we're located it's not like we're outside Madison Square Garden anymore. We're kind of in a very cosmopolitan. We're just down the street from Lincoln Center,
right?
But so it wasn't like a ton of people, but it was nice because there's the cameras, and Jenks did a great job with the camera and getting it all there. It was really a fun experience. I didn't know what to expect. But I was honored that they thought I was a big enough name to do it, and they're fans of our work, and it was a really cool experience. And I can't wait to see how it ended up looking. We've got some stills, but I guess next week is when they're going to finally launch it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Now, did he outwalk you? Because you've gotten yourself into great shape, but did you get tired? Was it a long walk?
No, it was freezing. I will say that. It's not as bad as it was the last couple of days, but it's like less than 20, so it was freezing. We were bundled up pretty good, but no, it was fine. It was a nice brisk walk. I thought we were going to walk around the block,
right?
But we ended up going it was a 20-minute walk back and forth. So we probably went 10 blocks up and down Columbus Avenue.
And what was the most interesting thing you guys talked about?
I honestly, I think 2 things. He loved my Evan Neal rant, and we kind of just talked about players how disconnected they are to the fans and how important fans are to everything. And I don't think players realize that. We've talked about that for years. Like, players just don't even get how much money and how passionate fans can be sometimes. But I thought the Pete Alonso stuff, because I agree with him. My overall take with Pete Alonso is I'm going to miss Pete. I'd like Pete to stay, but I like the way they're handling it. I think the Mets are handling this the right way, and he brought that up, and I agreed with him. And I thought that was interesting, where we love him, we want him to stay, but this is the best way to handle it. Just because you have Steve Cohen doesn't mean you can throw $50 million at a guy that's not worth 50. He's not even worth 30. I'm not sure he's worth 25. But if you can get him for less than 25 by playing this way, I think that's probably the best way to handle it. And if you lose him, you lose him. But you can't think with your heart when you're a general manager. And I thought that was interesting because he's such a diehard fan who loves Pete Alonso. So it's easy to just say, well, sign him. It doesn't matter. Any amount of money. Doesn't care. We have Steve Cohen. I was kind of surprised that he looked at it the way that I did, the logical way of, I think that they're handling it the right way.
Now, before I let you go, I know you have to prepare for your show.
Yes.
You're kind of in agreement with all the people that are sick of Mahomes, right? You don't agree with me.
But I'm just tired of the same teams. I know I would like to see the Buffalo Bills. I think it's a great story. The Texans would be a great story, but I don't have any feeling about the Texans or anything. But the Bills have been there knocking on the door. I would love to see the Bills beat the Chiefs, to see the Chiefs back in the Super Bowl again. I just don't think they're that good. I don't. They're an unimpressive 15-2 football team. They get outplayed, but they catch breaks, Michael. I'm not saying it's rigged, but I thought Saturday was a joke. I thought those calls were awful. And the way that he does, they got to do something about these slides, Michael, because it should not be a weapon for the quarterback. These quick slides, and then you've already committed yourself to hit him.
I agree with you.
But the one where the two guys were on top of him and didn't even touch his helmet, and then they threw a flag. It's like enough already. Enough. They were thoroughly outplayed. And listen, Houston cost themselves with special teams and missed field goals and all that. The better team won the game, no question. But watching them all year, and I guess that's what winners do, but they're catching a lot of breaks, Michael, and it just gets tiresome to just see the same teams. They played San Francisco twice already in the Super Bowl. In all likelihood, if they go, they'll take on the Eagles, and that'll be another time facing the Eagles. Don't you want to freshen it? Wouldn't Bills, I guess Commanders at this point, or if it had been Bills Lions, wouldn't that be more sexy to you? Different teams, not the same teams all the time?
I don't know if anything could be more sexy than going for a three-peat, though. I essentially agree with you, and I think that teams that are on the top of the mountain, like the Chiefs are, the fun part of sports is rooting for them to get knocked off the mountain. That's why you and I were together in the stadium when the Giants knocked off the Patriots. That was exhilarating to watch. I just don't understand when people say, well, they're sick of Patrick Mahomes. You're sick of watching greatness, don't you? I mean, whether you think he gets calls or not, and he does get calls, he's phenomenal. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks we'll ever see.
But it can happen. I mean, it happened with Golden State, right? Like Curry, everybody loved Curry. Everybody loved the Golden State run, and then at the end of it, it was just like I'm tired of Curry. I'm tired with the mouthpiece. I'm tired of his kid being there in the post game press conference. Like, you can get sick of things, Michael. It does get to that point where I understand you love greatness. But at some point, and it's not like the Buffalo Bills aren't great.
No, I agree, but you never got sick of Doritos.
I did. Well, I didn't get sick of Doritos. I realized I had a problem. And I will admit to you, you know what? I have a chief addiction, and I need to get over it. So I'd like them gone. Thank you.
I know you have to prepare for your show.
Thank you,
we have
buddy.
our guest coming up. Thanks, buddy.
Miss you terribly.
I appreciate it. Miss you. Now let's bring in our good friend, Sal Paolantonio. He is covering the Eagles for the Eagles and the Commanders game coming up. And I do want to tell everybody before we even bring Sal in, he's part of the NFL Matchup Show. That's his gig for Championship Sunday. It begins Saturday at 5:30 a.m. and 9 a.m. on ESPN2, and then on Championship Sunday at 7 a.m. That's the NFL Matchup Show. And Sal runs that whole act. He's great at it. It's a great show, and he joins us now. Hey, Sal, how you doing?
Thank you, Michael. How are you? We just got out of the Nick Sirianni press conference, and we're on our way to practice to see how Jalen Hurts' left knee is doing. And Thursday practice is always much different from the Wednesday practice. So this is a practice that will definitely test the knee, and we'll get a chance to really see how he's moving.
You know, I was wondering about Jalen Hurts because even before the knee got injured, which is a huge factor in this game, he still wasn't dominating. It was more or less Saquon Barkley as the offense. What do you think? Do you? Let me ask you this way: do you believe that Hurts has taken a step back this year, and if so, why?
Well, I don't know if he's quote unquote taken a step back. I think operationally, he's operating the offense pretty well, and he's done a good job in the postseason. I mean, in his last 6 playoff games, he's got 12 total touchdowns, 6 passing, 6 rushing. But the key thing is no turnovers. And, I've talked to you about this on your show numerous times. When you're in the postseason in the NFL, your quarterback's like the point guard in the postseason in the tournament in the NCAA. If he's not turning the ball over, you have a chance to win. And the second thing is how many rushing attempts do you have? Those are the 2 key things to winning postseason NFL football. And right now, I think the Eagles have a pretty good 1 and 2 combination. Now, there's always a but, and there's a big one. I think Jayden Daniels is the most sensational rookie quarterback I've ever seen. His dual threat ability is off the charts. His ability to extend plays on third down and his ability to dominate in the fourth quarter is just different. And if they have to get into a shootout with Washington, if Washington can score like they did against Detroit or like they did against the Eagles in the fourth quarter on December 22nd, I don't know if Jalen Hurts can win a shootout against Jayden Daniels.
How do they plan? I mean, did Sirianni give any hint on how they plan to slow down Daniels?
Well, Sirianni's not involved whatsoever, any little bit, in defensive game planning. Okay. It's Fangio's show. It's totally Vic Fangio's show. They had problems with him, especially in the fourth quarter. Remember, the Eagles were up 27-14 in that game. This is the game where Jalen Hurts was knocked out with a concussion. So, I mean, Jalen Hurts doesn't play defense. The Eagles were missing C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He got ejected, but that was only one player. Jayden Daniels hit on 3 touchdown passes and won the game 36-33. So it's very difficult because operationally you have to spy this guy with multiple players. Why? Because he's fast and he's young and he's got great stamina that carries all the way to the fourth quarter. Detroit learned that the hard way. Aaron Glenn learned that the hard way in Detroit last week. So this is a guy that's tough to defend. I think the last thing you do is blitz him because he can beat the blitz with his legs. You have to hope your front 4 get there. You play man-to-man on the outside. You have a 2-deep shell, and then you have to have somebody there when he evacuates the pocket and tries to break the line of scrimmage.
We're talking with Sal Paolantonio here on the Michael Kay Show, the Eagles and the Commanders on Sunday. I know that whenever a team signs a free agent, they dream big and, they think that this guy's going to really impact them. Did Howie Roseman and the Eagles really think that Saquon was going to be this impactful for this team?
On so many levels, no, definitely not. I mean, who could predict that he would get 2,000 yards? Nobody could predict that. Number 2, who could predict that he would set the tone in the locker room and culturally for this football team? Listen, Mike, I'm here to tell you, and I've covered this team for 33 years, he is without a doubt the leader of this football team. The way he speaks, what he talks about, the way he carries himself on and off the field, it's without a doubt. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen one guy change teams within a division like this and completely take over a locker room like this. Special, special, special player.
Everybody in that room likes him? There's no jealousy or anything like that?
No, absolutely not. He's carrying the team. Mm-hmm. He is safe. I have been with this team this year from Sao Paulo, Brazil, now to the NFC Championship game, the whole way. And over and over and over again, while Jalen Hurts has struggled, and you hit it on nail on the head, he has struggled this year. The passing game had 65 total yards last week against the Rams when you factor in the lost yardage due to the sack. 65. This is the 21st century. You're supposed to have many, many more yards passing in the postseason if you have a $100 million quarterback. So Barkley has saved Jalen Hurts. He's saved Vic Fangio when the defense was bad. The defense is getting better, but, I mean, he has changed the culture here, and he's absolutely the leader of the team.
All right, let me ask you an abstract question. I don't know if you can answer it. So the guy who signed him is Howie Roseman, and I think Howie Roseman does get love, but I wonder if he's underappreciated, and what makes him so great at his job?
Well, I think Howie is a smart Fordham guy, by the way.
Oh, there you go.
Hired by. Do I need to say anything else?
No, you can stop right there, but please go on.
I thought you'd like that.
Yeah.
And was hired by Mike Tannenbaum to work with the New York Jets, and then was brought to Philadelphia by Joe Banner. And he has been around here for basically 25 years in the front office, so he knows the entire operation inside and out. Very smart. He knows how to get the best out of the salary cap. The team is never in jeopardy of having any problems financially, which is amazing when you consider that they have spent $100 million on Donovan McNabb, $100 million on Michael Vick, $100 million on Carson Wentz, and over $100 million on Jalen Hurts. They're the only team in the NFL that has given $100 million plus contracts to 4 different quarterbacks and never had a salary cap problem. Amazing. That's your evidence right there of how smart he is.
All right, let's say, I mean, knowing a great player like Jalen Hurts, he's probably going to play through discomfort or pain. But we know who the backup quarterback is. I know somebody who is very close with the Eagles organization, and I've been told that the Eagles love McKee. Love him. They think he's like a star in the making. Would it be Pickett that takes over if Hurts can't play, or would they go to McKee?
That's a great question, and you are right. They absolutely do love Tanner McKee. Tanner McKee reminds a lot of people around here of Nick Foles. Mm-hmm. Same height, same arm movement, same arm strength, same personality and leadership skills, got a lot of intangibles. He reminds a lot of people of Nick Foles, and that's pretty high praise. McKee's still number 2 on the depth chart. McKee still has experience. Pickett's still number 2 on the depth chart.
Right.
He still has experience that McKee does not have. Pickett is still number 2 on the depth chart and has experience that McKee does not have, and I think that they would go to Pickett.
All right, so while you were at the Sirianni press conference, I'm sure you're following it, there's reports out there that it looks like Brian Schottenheimer is going to get the Cowboy job. A lot of people assume that the Eagles offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, would get it. Is Moore shocked that he didn't get it, and did you think that Moore was going to get it?
I did think he was going to get it, and I am kind of surprised by that. Yes, 100%.
I mean, what could Jerry be thinking?
Well, I mean, maybe he doesn't want to wait.
Right.
It's very possible.
Yeah, but you do wait for somebody if you think he's a difference maker. I guess he doesn't think he's that much of a difference maker.
Is that much of a difference?
I don't know.
Between Kellen Moore? I don't think there is. Between Kellen Moore and Brian Schottenheimer.
So you've been around this game forever. Do you believe, so many people, if you're looking on social media, deriding the Cowboys, why Brian Schottenheimer, what a lightweight pick. Do you think it's a lightweight pick? Could they have done better?
Well, the last time I was on, you asked me who I would pick, and I said John Gruden, but certainly Deion Sanders would be somebody.
Right.
But I think, listen, the evidence is overwhelming that Jerry Jones goes with somebody who's not going to steal his thunder.
Right.
There is, of course, only one star on the side of the helmet, not 2.
Good point. Good point. So your gut feeling, Sal, going into Sunday, who do you like? Oh, I think we lost Sal. I'm glad it wasn't me. I thought that you lost me. You don't lose me, right? We'll try to get him back. Just that one question we had anyway, so hopefully we'll try to reconnect. We'll take a brief time out, more of your phone calls as well. It's the K Show right here on 880 ESPN.
There's one thing that will forever change the way you sleep, and it's the softest 100% organic cotton sheets from Boll & Branch. You'll fall asleep faster, wrapped in the most luxurious comfort. You'll never sleep hot again with sheets that feel breathable to sleep in. You'll experience the purest softness on night 1 and feel your sheets get even softer with every wash. Discover the difference with 15% off your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com with code SPORTS15. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
Harry Douglas here for Technique's new noise-canceling True Wireless AZ80 earbuds. Techniques has been revolutionizing the audio game for almost 60 years. With multi-point connection of up to 3 devices at the same time, the AZ80s let you go from leading a meeting to listening to a podcast to taking a call seamlessly. Visit us.techniques.com/sports to shop for AZ80s now. That's us.technics.com/sports.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous 2-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
He's been here a long time, and he's going to be here even longer.
Catch the show on demand whenever you want. Just subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Hope you're doing well. It's the K Show from 1 to 3 every Monday through Friday. Make that appointment listening. Not in the same spot that I used to be for 22 years. Now 1 to 3 leading into that spot. The great Don Hahn and Rosenberg show. We just heard from Don. People are thrilled to hear from him. You can hear more of him with Alan. I believe that Peter is coming back next week after having his baby. And we congratulate him, which we've done before, on the birth of little Maya. And boy, is his life going to change. Anyway, we have been talking about Brian Schottenheimer looking like he's going to get the Cowboy job. There's no bigger Cowboy fan within the walls of our station than Ray Santiago, who I don't know how he physically does it. He's one of the producers, the big voices in the morning show with DiPietro and Rothenberg, and he also produces the Knicks and the Rangers. I don't know when he sleeps or how he keeps his energy. God bless him, but he's a big Cowboy fan. So I texted him your thoughts on Schottenheimer. This is what he said. I thought that Kellen Moore was the worst they could have done. I was wrong. So he's not thrilled about it. And he said they barely interviewed anyone. He said, and if they hire Jason Witten to the coaching staff, that'll tell me a lot too.
What the F?
So that is from a big, big Cowboy fan. Not thrilled. I don't think a lot of people are thrilled, but I thought that Sal might have put it best. I think that what Jerry Jones is operating off of is the blueprint with Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett wasn't a high-profile guy, and that allowed Jerry to still be the shining light, the big star, so to speak, in Dallas. Brian Schottenheimer's that guy too, and he's been there before. He has some experience with Prescott. I understand all of it. But, there was a lot of heat that it could be Dion. Dion would overwhelm the star wattage of Jerry Jones. He just would. John Gruden would as well. Any big-name coach. Mike McCarthy was almost a perfect fit for them. He had like 3 12-win seasons, didn't obviously get to a Super Bowl, but Mike McCarthy happens to be a good, respected football coach that is not a star wattage guy. It's just not. The last star that he really had, Jerry, was Bill Parcells. And maybe that also tells you why there was never any real legitimate thought given to Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, I don't think, would put up with Jerry. I don't think he could. It's not the way he runs his business. It's the way he runs his team. Jerry gives post-game press conferences. Jerry is a weekly on a radio station in Dallas. He's the biggest star on the Cowboys. Can you imagine if Woody Johnson had a weekly? Or John Mara had a weekly? Any of the owners in New York. Steve Cohen, Hal Steinbrenner, James Dolan. I'd like to know an owner out there, and maybe you could all help me out. Any owner out there that actually has a weekly around the country. I don't know if there is one. But you know what I do know? This is what I know, everybody. And I know it's strong. It's time, right now, for Hit and Run.
This is Hit and Run.
Oh, yeah. A lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff. All right, so the Nets lost to the Suns yesterday, 108-84. And they played their 24th different starting lineup in 45 games. That's the most in the history of the Nets after 45 games. And we know that the Nets are tanking. We know it. Okay, so yesterday, no Cam Johnson, no D'Angelo Russell, no Zaire Williams, no Ben Simmons. And we know they have 15 first-round picks over the next couple of years, 4 coming in June, which is a really deep draft. And they have $65 million in cap space. But I got to tell you something. So I think there was 17,000 plus at Barclays Center yesterday. The NBA still has a problem with the players not playing. And I think the Nets this year are complicit in the players not playing. But you can't expect, this is a two-pronged take by me, you can't expect people to pay top dollar to come see your product, and the quote-unquote stars on the team aren't playing because it's the second game of a back-to-back, or if you're tanking. It's ridiculous. And it continues to happen. And I know that Adam Silver doesn't want it to happen and has kind of demanded that if you're on a nationally televised game that, you got to play your stars. Well, the Suns aren't playing Bradley Beal because they might trade him. Think about that. Now, I'm not saying that people came to Barclays Center yesterday to see Bradley Beal. They probably came to see Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. But it's unfair to the paying public. It's unfair to the networks that own your rights to not put the best players out there every single game. I think the health and science departments of teams have way, way, way too much power. Oh, I don't think you should play him. Let's not push him in back-to-back. The Nets have 16 back-to-backs this year. So that means that's at least 16 games that Ben Simmons isn't going to play. And other players as well. And with the Nets, at least there's an excuse. Because they're tanking. They want to get as many kicks at the can in the lottery. I understand that. I don't approve of it. I think it's terrible. But other teams, if players can't handle back-to-backs, although the Knicks seem to handle it fine, but if your star players can't handle back-to-backs, then stop scheduling back-to-backs. Make the season longer. I know it's hard to compress 82 games into the length of the season. Make it a month longer and eliminate back-to-backs. Because if the players are so soft now that they can't play 2 games in a row, 2 days in a row, it's got to stop. You're robbing people of their money. And as for the Nets, if you're going to tank a season and you're going to trade away players that help you win like Dennis Schrader, if you're going to do that, then you shouldn't be charging top dollar. You just shouldn't. This is not a season where the Nets are trying to win games. Now, Jordy Fernandez is trying to win games, but it's not fair to the paying public that you do it. It's just not. It stinks, and the whole sport stinks from it. It really does. If they can't play back-to-back, stop scheduling back-to-back and make the season longer. Flyers at the Rangers tonight, 7 p.m., 6:30 on 880. With the pregame, Rangers they have climbed out of the abyss. I would say right now, after what looked like a lost season for them, that they are going to make the playoffs. They are playing infinitely better. Infinitely better. Every player has stepped up and really changed their game. They looked lifeless. They looked like they weren't even trying in December, and now they're a different team. Don't know what happened. All right, there are reports out there right now that Pete Alonso and the Toronto Blue Jays could be close to a deal, and some of the reports are $75 million for 3 years. Reportedly, the Mets had offered Pete like $68 to $70 million for 3 years. Now, who am I to sneeze at $5 million? But $5 million over 3 years, when you're making close to $25 million a year, doesn't that lead you to go to the place that you really want to be? So if Pete really wanted to be a Met, wouldn't he leave the $5 million on the table from the Blue Jays and sign with the Mets at 3 years, 70? Maybe he's insulted. Maybe his nose is out of joint. Maybe those numbers are inaccurate. But if they are, doesn't it beg the question, oh, he loves the Mets, Met fans love him. Well, maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's not as important as we've all made it out to be. Look at Juan Soto. Look at the difference between what the Yankees offered him and the Mets offered him. Now, over 15 years, if he really wanted to be with the Yankees, he would have signed with the Yankees if it really meant that much to him. I'm telling you all, I've told you this for 22 years now. This is how players keep score. So even if it's $3 million over 3 years, they might take that rather than go to the place that they really want to go. You think that Alex Rodriguez, way back when, in his wildest dreams or nightmares, wanted to sign with the Texas Rangers? Do you really think he did? Of course he didn't. He wanted to sign with the Mets. But they didn't offer him what the Rangers did. And, no knock, because this is the way you keep score and this is the way you earn your living. When Pete signed with Scott Boras, he was trying to get the most money. There wasn't any ooey-gooey about it. There just wasn't. There was no ooey-gooiness. He was going to go where they paid him the most money. And that looks like it might happen. Now, it's not a done deal. It's just rumors that are out there. But if he ends up in Toronto for what amounts to $5 million over 3 years, did he really want to go with the Mets? So the Jaguars fire Trent Baalke, their GM. And I've always said this. When you look at bad organizations, bad teams, it's no secret why they're bad. Their organizations stink from high heaven. Imagine you get rid of Doug Peterson and you don't get rid of the GM, who a lot of people don't like. Then you start your coaching interviews with Trent Baalke being part of them. One of the guys that they had interest in, Tampa Bay offensive coordinator Liam Cohen. He takes himself out of the running. So that was probably a signal to the owner, a lot of these coaches don't really look like they want to work with Trent Baalke. So he fires him. When you're a bad organization, there's a reason. You're inept. You make dumb decisions like that. Wouldn't it have been better to make a clean sweep? You fire Peterson, you fire the GM. So now not only are they looking for a coach, they're looking for a coach and they're looking for a GM. Awful. Awful. Bad news for teams that are picking 5th or 6th in the NFL draft. The GM of the Titans has come out and said, I might just take the best available athlete with the number 1 pick, which would lead you to believe, or the guy that fits our team the best, lead you to believe it has a chance to be Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, the rushing defensive end for Penn State. That means that the Titans might not take one of those quarterbacks. So the teams that are picking 3rd, 4th, 5th that might have had designs on Travis Hunter or on Abdul Carter, now they might not get that guy. Now, it also presents a problem for the Giants. What if they don't love Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward? What if they don't love him? Now it's going to be sitting right there. The ultimate second guess if you don't take the guy and he becomes a good player. If you're sitting at 3 and the 2 well-known quarterbacks actually are taken 1 and 2, the pressure's off. Then you take the best player. Like it was there was some pressure last year because the Giants at 6 could have taken J.J. McCarthy. They didn't. They took a great wide receiver. Malik Neighbors turned out to be outstanding. But now the outside noise is going to permeate as well. If one of those quarterbacks, who most of us don't know if they could be great or not, you heard Mel Kiper Jr. yesterday saying, last year's quarterbacks he had rated 9.8, 9.9. Sanders and Ward he has at 9.1. So they're not thought of in the same way as those quarterbacks, the first 3 quarterbacks last year. But if you're the Giants and one of those quarterbacks is sitting there and you don't take them, and it turns out that they become really good, it's another strike against that administration. Congratulations to St. John's in front of about just under 15,000 at the Garden. They beat Xavier 79-71. They were down by 10 at the half. They did not play well, but this team has a refuse-to-lose mentality, and they end up winning in overtime. They are 20th ranked now in the nation. Their record is 17-3, and that's the best record since they had the exact same record at the 20 games, 1989 and 1990. And one final thing, there's stories in the paper about Mariano Rivera and his wife Clara involving the church and somebody who was suing them, who was allegedly sexually assaulted by somebody in the church, and they're saying that Mariano and his wife didn't do enough and tried to cover it up. Listen, I don't know anything that's going on. It's the first I heard of it was this. All I could attest to is this. Knowing Mariano the way I know him, I'd be absolutely shocked if this was true. The man that I know, and I've known him since he was a kid coming up with the Yankees, the man that he became, the Christian that he is, I'd be stunned if there's validity to it. I can't sit here and give you an opinion on it because I don't want to disparage the person who's filing the lawsuit. Not going to doubt that person's telling the truth. All I will tell you is if there's a shred of truth to it, I would just be gobsmacked. I would be absolutely flabbergasted knowing the man the way I know him. I mean, I know his wife, hello and goodbye, but I mean, they built these churches themselves. So it would stun me, and I hope it's not true. I'm rooting for it not to be true. But it's some heavy-duty stuff that's out there. It's just weird. You know, you open up the paper and you read that. I actually saw it last night online, and I was stunned, absolutely stunned. Again, I hope it's not true. And if you said, Michael, do you think it's true? Again, I don't want to disparage the person that's making the claims. You know, no accuser should ever be shot down or shouted down. I would say that Mariano to me is just a very special person, and I'm hoping it's not true. And if I find out it is, I wouldn't even know how to talk about it. I wouldn't even know how to proceed. I'd be so stunned. 1-800-919-3776. We're going to finish it up with your phone calls as we lead you into Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg. They have a lot to do from 3 to 6:30 until the Ranger pregame show. So please, you're the co-host. You know that. It's time for you to join in. 1-800-919-3776 is the number. And also, I'm going to give you another chance to win a box in the Super Box Bonanza 6. Hey, it's Michael K. Not sleeping? Well, it could be your mattress. And I'm here to tell you that my friends at PC Richard & Son use a 4-step mattress fitting process to make sure your new bed fits you perfectly. Right now, save big on Sealy, Tempur-Pedic, and Stearns & Foster, and you'll get $300 cash back instantly to use on anything else in the store. So, do what I do. Get to PC Richard & Son, the local company you could trust for your new mattress.
Every idea starts with a problem. Warby Parker's was simple. Glasses are too expensive. So, they set out to change that. By designing glasses in-house and selling directly to customers, they're able to offer prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Warby Parker glasses are made from premium materials like impact-resistant polycarbonate and custom acetate. And they start at just $95, including prescription lenses. Get glasses made from the good stuff. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.
TaxAct knows filing your taxes can be complicated, and that's why we have live experts to help you with any questions. They can hold your hand through the process beginning to end. Metaphorically, of course. I mean, they can't actually hold your hand in person. I suppose you could hold your computer mouse while you chat with the expert about capital gains or whatever, which is sort of like holding hands. Sorry, point is, our tax experts can make filing easier. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
So it's a new year, 2025, and you're thinking, how am I going to make this year different? How am I going to build something for myself? The best time to start your new business is right now, and Shopify is how you're going to make it happen. Shopify makes it simple to create your brand, open for business, and get your first sale. Get your store up and running easily with thousands of customizable templates. No coding or design skills required. All you need to do is drag and drop. Their powerful social media tools let you connect all your channels and create shoppable posts and help you sell everywhere people scroll. Shopify makes it easy to manage your growing business. They help with the details like shipping, taxes, and payments from one single dashboard, allowing you to focus on the important stuff, like growing your business. What happens if you don't act now? Will you regret it? What if someone beats you to the idea? Don't kick yourself when you hear this again in a year because you didn't do anything now. With Shopify, your first sale is closer than you think. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/network, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/network to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/network.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
He's been here a long time, and he's going to be here even longer.
Catch the show on demand whenever you want. Just subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to the show. Coming up on Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg at 3 o'clock. All right, so I have a devious plan. See if you follow me. So the Hall of Fame voting took place, and this is the 4th year on the ballot for A-Rod. And he got his highest percentage yet at 37.1. Now, his first year on the ballot, he was at 34.3, so he's getting small little gains. And when you look at the first-time voters, they seem to be much more forgiving of people associated with PEDs. And in the first-time voters, the last I checked, he got about 75%. 75% is what gets you in. So he has 6 years left on the ballot. And my concern for Alex, because I know how much this would mean to him, he could say publicly whatever he wants, but he's such a baseball nerd that being in the Hall of Fame would be like going to heaven for him. That's how much he loves the game and the history of the game. I do not think that the Baseball Writers Association of America is going to turn over enough in the 6 years that he has left to get him to the 75%. So, you ready? Again, freaky outside-the-box thinking. When the Yankees let him go in his final year, he was offered a chance to continue his playing career with the White Sox or the Marlins. Now, I would have advised him to do it because he's at 696 home runs. So even if you don't make the Hall of Fame, 700 is such an exalted club that he's always going to be 4 short of. Back then, he would have gotten those 4 home runs. He could still hit a home run. He was not the high average hitter he used to be. In fact, in his last game with the Yankees, got a double, RBI double, if you remember. So in 6 years, it's not going to happen. So what I would do, the Marlins are going to be awful this year. And he's from Miami. He grew up in Miami. There's a lot of luster attached to his name. They need to draw fans there. If I was Alex, I haven't even broached this with Alex, so he listens to the show. This is probably the first time I'll hear it. I would sign. He's 49 years old, but he's in great shape. He is not allowed not playing to get him flabby or anything like that. He's tremendous shape. Obviously, the bat speed would have slowed down, but we're talking about a stunt here. The Marlins should sign him to a contract to let him play a couple of games. And you might say, well, why, Michael? Because what Alex needs to do is stop time. The 6 years is not enough. So if he just donned the uniform for one game and had one at bat and then retires, he restarts the clock. He gets another 15 years. So if he played one game for the Marlins, just as a stunt, like Minnie Minoso used to do, he'd come in so he could play in every single decade. If he plays that one at bat, one game for the Marlins, he has to wait another 5 years before he's eligible to be put on the ballot. And then he gets a fresh 10 more. So maybe in that 15-year span, the voting body turns more to younger people that don't have as much disdain for PED users. I don't think it's going to turn in 6 years. Maybe it turns in 15. Again, outside the box thinking, which is what you get here. Hey, it's Superbox Bonanza 6. Each qualifier will take home an ESPN prize pack and have a chance at one of 10 Superbox prizes. Be caller number, let's see, Alex's number was 13. Be caller 13 right now at 888-987-ESPN to select a box for the big game with a chance to win $250 in the first and third quarters, $500 at halftime, and a final score payout of $1,000. All brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey and Sloman's Security. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Justin in Long Island. Justin.
Hey, Michael. How you doing? It's a pleasure to speak with you.
What's
My
going on?
question is simple. Well, as a big Met fan, when Cohen bought the team, I'm super excited, right?
Right.
I don't understand why there's not more pressure on him to do what the Met fan wants. That was why he bought the team. He wears the Met hat. He walks around with his wife. They're big Met fans. So if we don't sign Pete, then it's kind of like we just replaced him. You know what I mean? We signed a big name. We signed, so we love him, but we also want Pete back. So I just don't understand why he's not sacrificing. It's not a big money thing. I just don't understand it. Unless Pete just doesn't want to be a Met.
I think this is it, Justin. Again, just guessing. He hired David Stearns. David Stearns does not give long-term contracts to 30-year-old corner infielders that aren't that athletic. And I think that he is acceding to the wishes of David Stearns to build this team. And I hate to say it because I don't want to sound cold. You can't always listen to the fans. So even though the Met fans seem like they love Pete, if the reports out of Toronto are true, and I don't know if they are, that he's considering signing 3 years at 75, well, the Mets offered him 3 years at 70. So if he had the same allegiance that Met fans have to him, would that $5 million really make that much of a difference? I just think that Cohen is allowing Stearns to do his job. And Stearns does. I don't think Stearns wants him. I think they're making him offers that are just good enough to turn down. Let's go to Mark in Edmonton. Mark.
Caster, thanks for having me on, man. The show's sounding great.
Thank you, Mark. What's up, man?
I have a bit of a goofy question for you, but with all the now influxes of Aarons in the New York sports market,
right?
If Aaron Judge, Aaron Boone, Aaron Glenn, and Aaron Rodgers all go for the same table reservation in Manhattan, who's getting that reservation?
Oh, beautiful question. I think it has to be Judge first. Then I think it's Aaron Rodgers. And then I believe it's Aaron Boone. And then I think Aaron Glenn would probably be last. Because Aaron Glenn hasn't done anything yet. Now, there's going to be a certain celebrity attached to being the Jet coach. I understand that. He'll get a table. But the prime table, that's going to Aaron Judge. There's no question. And I wouldn't say it's a close second, but at second, Aaron Rodgers still has some cachet. So that is the Aaron ranking here in New York. Judge, Rodgers, Boone, and Glenn. Do you think the Yank Aarons are better as a pair than the Jet Aarons? I think they are. I mean, because Judge is one of the greatest players we'll ever see. Now, Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks we'll ever see. But Judge is still in the prime of his career. Rodgers is clearly not. Boone took his team to the World Series last year. Glenn, first-time head coach. So I think in the team rankings, the Yank Aarons supersede the Jet Aarons. Love that question. Love it. Love everything about it. And I've loved everything about the show today. It went quickly. You know what? I judge the show this way, everybody. If the show ends and you want more, it's been a good show. And I believe today you're sitting there and you're not quite satiated. You say, I want more. I need more K. Well, there'll be more K tomorrow from 1 to 3. Now, if you're not satiated, you know who will satiate you? Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg. Coming up in just a moment. So much to do. This is the station, by the way. From DPHO and Rothenberg in the morning to Bart and Carlin in the late morning, to me, to Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg, Dan Grassa, Knicks, Rangers. I mean, come on. Come on. Should never move the dial from 880 ESPN or the ESPN New York app. Don't even think about it. This is the place to be. I expect you back at 1 o'clock tomorrow. We'll break down the 2 games over the weekend. I have a lot of other stuff to do and talk about as well. Thank you for joining us. I always appreciate you giving me these 2 hours out of your day. Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg are next. And in the words of Billy Joel, life is a series of hellos and goodbyes. I'm afraid it's time for goodbye again. See you, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
You know what? Check yourself.
Hear more from Michael K. weekdays at 1 on 880 ESPN.
Suck it up and like it.
The ESPN New York app and your smart speakers.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.